Say hi, Chloe. Hi. Alright, in this video we're going to do systems of inequalities. So just like we did with inequalities and just like we did with systems, we're going to mesh those two concepts together. So a system is where we have two equations. A system of equations, we had two equations that overlapped and then our answer was the point where they intersected. Well, on an inequality, our answer was every single point that made the statement true. So I'm going to have two sections with shaded parts, and the part where the overlapping shading occurs is where your answer will be. Alright, so let's get started. A system of inequalities is two or more linear inequalities. Alright, so you could have two, you can have three, you can have more than that. The solution to a system of inequalities is the overlapping region of points that satisfies both inequalities. So where both areas are shaded, where they overlap. Alright, our first problem, they gave us two inequalities, in standard form. And I'm going to change them to slope-intercept form to graph. So I subtracted x on the first one. Then I'm going to go to -1 for my y-intercept. And then my slope is -1. It's just negative. You can put a 1 there. You can put it over 1. So it's down 1 over 1. And then because it's greater than and it doesn't have the equal to part, it's going to be just a dotted line or a dashed line. And then I'm going to pick a test point, and I like to use 0, 0. So I'm going to put 0 in for x and 0 in for y. That gives me 0 is greater than -1. Well, that is true. So I'm going to shade on the side of my line that I drew that includes 0, 0. Alright, now I'm going to rearrange the second equation, or the second inequality, to get y by itself. So I get -y is greater than -x plus 5 because I subtracted the x. And then I need to get rid of the negative. So I'm actually dividing by -1. And remember, if you divide by a negative in an inequality, you have to flip that inequality symbol. Only if you multiply or divide by a negative. So that gives me, when I divide by negative, everything just changes its sign when it's just a -1. So -y becomes y, -x becomes x, and plus 5 becomes -5, or -5. So I'm going to go down to -5 on my y-intercept. And then I'm going to go up 1 over 1. And again, it's going to be a dotted line because it doesn't have the equal to part. I'm going to pick 0, 0 as my test point. So I get 0 is less than -5. Well, that is not true. So I'm going to shade away from the 0, 0. So I'm going to shade on the other side that doesn't include 0, 0. And my answer is everywhere that I have a little bit of orange and a little bit of purple. So I pointed that out to you in red. So anything in that red section is where they overlap. That's where your solution could lie. Alright, this one. Again, I have to get it in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to add x. Then I'm going to divide by 3. I get y is less than 1/3 x plus 7. So I'm going to go to 7, down 1 over 3. Or I'm sorry, up 1 over 3. It was positive. And that's going to be a dotted line because it doesn't have the equal to part. I'm going to pick a test point. When I do that, I get 0 is less than 7. That is true. So I'm going to shade on the side that includes the point 0, 0, that side of the line. Alright, the other one is already in slope-intercept for me, so I'm going to go up to 4. Then I'm going to go down 1 over 1. And I'm going to draw a line. Now, this one, it should be a solid line because it has the equal to part. So I'm going to fill in that line. And I'm going to pick a test point. When I do 0, I get 0 is greater than or equal to 4. Well, that is not true. So I'm going to shade on the other side of the line that doesn't include 0, 0. And then my answer is anywhere that there's red and green together in that section. So I pointed that out to you in blue. All right, number 3. X minus 4y is less than or equal to 24. I'm going to rearrange that to get it in slope-intercept form. So I get -4y is less than or equal to -x plus 24. I subtracted the x. Now I'm going to divide by -4. And remember, when you divide by a negative, you have to flip your inequality. All right, so I get y is greater than or equal to, and then it'd be a negative over a negative, so that make it 1/4 x. And 24 divided by 4 would give me -6, or -6. So I'm going to go to -6, up 1 over 4. And then I'm going to draw my line. And it should be a solid line because it has that equal to part. Get a test point. 0 is greater than or equal to -6. That is true. So I'm going to shade that portion of the graph that includes 0, 0. And I'm going to rearrange the second equation to get y by itself. I subtract the 2x. And then I have to divide by a negative, so I have to switch the sign. I divide by a -1. Everything just changes from negative to positive or positive to negative. So I have a y-intercept of +1 and a slope of 2. And that one is going to be a solid line as well. Pick my test point. I get 0 is less than or equal to 1. Well, that is true. So I am going to include 0, 0, which on my graph, it kind of looks like it goes through 0, 0, but it doesn't quite. So I'm going to shade on that side. Alrighty. And everywhere where there's a little bit of purple and a little bit of blue is your answers. Alright, this one, a little bit tricky maybe. X is less than -4. Well, that's not really in slope-intercept form, but it's in a form that I can graph it. So I'm going to go to -4 on the x-axis, and I'm going to draw a vertical line. It doesn't matter what y is, x is always going to be -4. So that's going to be a vertical line through x is -4. And it's going to be a dotted or dashed line because it doesn't have the equal to part. And I'm still going to pick a test point. 0 is less than -4 is not true. So I'm going to shade on the opposite side. And then I'm going to do the next one. I'm going to try to get it in y-intercept form or slope-intercept form. So I'm going to subtract the 3x, and then I'm going to divide by 2. I get y equals -3 over 2x minus 1. So I'm going to go to -1. I'm going to go down 3 over 2. It's going to be, oops, my inequality sign's a little messed up there. It should be less than or equal to. So it is a solid line. And I'm going to pick a test point, 0, 0. 0 is less than -1. Nope, no it's not. So everywhere where there's a little bit of blue and a little bit of yellow, kind of made green, is where your answer would be. Where the overlapping section is your answer. Alright, number 5. 4x minus 5y is greater than or equal to -35. I'm going to subtract 4x. I'm going to divide by -5. Now remember, divide by a negative, you have to flip the sign. So a -4 divided by -5 gives me positive 4/5 x. And -35 divided by -5 gives me positive 7. So I'm going to go to positive 7, up 4 over 5, or down 4, left 5. Remember, if you can't fit it on your graph by going up and to the right, if it's positive, then you can do the exact opposite of up and right. You can go down and left. Draw your line. It will be a solid line. Pick a test point, 0, 0. I get 0 is less than or equal to 7, which is true. So I'm going to shade on the side of my line that includes 0, 0. Do the same thing with the next equation. Subtract x. I get y is greater than -x minus 2. So it's in slope-intercept form. Go down to -2. Down 1 over 1. It's going to be a dotted line. Pick your test point. 0 is greater than -2. That is true. So I'm going to shade on the side that includes 0, 0. And anywhere where there's a mix of colors is your answer. Alright, number 6. You're going to get this in slope-intercept form. Subtract the 6x. Divide by 4. You get y is greater than -3/2 x. I simplify that fraction. Plus 3. Go up to positive 3. Down 3 over 2. It's going to be a dotted. Oops, that should be a dotted line. There we go. And then I'm going to pick a test point. 0 is greater than 3. No, it's not. So I'm going to shade on the opposite side of that line. And do the same thing for the next one. Subtract 3x. Divide by -4. Well, that's going to make me switch my inequality. So it's y is less than positive 3/4 x minus 2. So I'm going to go to -2, up 3 over 4. That's going to be a dashed line. And I'm going to pick a test point. 0 is less than -2. No, it's not. So I'm going to shade on the opposite side. That includes 0, 0. And anywhere where there's red and blue together in one section is where your answer will be. Okay. Number 7. we're going to just go ahead and plot this because they're both already in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to go up to positive 6, down 5 over 1. It's going to be a dotted line. Whoop. Should be a dotted line. I guess I made a mistake there. And pick a test point. 0 is less than 6. That's true. And then for the other one, I'm going to go, oh, there we go. I'm going to go to negative 1. I'm going to go up 2 over 1. And I'm going to put a solid line. Pick a test point. When I do that, I get 0 is greater than or equal to negative 1, which is true. So I'm going to shade on that side that includes 0. And any section that has blue and green is your answer. All right. This one, I'm going to rearrange the top equation so by dividing by 8. And I get y is greater than, and then the fraction I can simplify to negative 5 over 4x plus 3, so positive 3, down 5 over 4. It's going to be a dotted line. Pick a test point. All right. I know it's a lot of steps, but once you get used to the groove, it'll go pretty quick. All right. 0 is greater than 3. No, it's not. Shade on the opposite side of the line that doesn't include 0, 0 as an answer. All right. And then y is less than or equal to 2. Well, I'm going to go to 2 on the y-axis, and I'm going to draw a horizontal line. If you have a y is equal or less than or greater than a number, it's going to be a horizontal line. If you have x is equal or less than or greater than a number, it's going to be a vertical line. Pick a test point. Is 0 less than or equal to 2? Well, yes, it is. So I'm going to shade the side that includes 0, 0 as an answer. And anything that has orange and blue is your answer. All right, number 9. Rearrange it. Subtract the 3x. Divide by a negative. That flips your sign. Graph it. I go to negative 6. Up 3 over 1. That's a dotted line. Pick a test point. 0 is greater than negative 6. That is true. Shade on the side that includes 0. Alright. Same thing. Subtract 3x. Divide by a negative. That's going to switch your sign. I get y is less than negative 3x minus 2. Go to negative 2. Up 3 over 1. And it looks like in the last one I made a mistake. I went up 3 over 2. I should have went up 3 over 1. That's okay. And then 0 is less than negative 2. That is not true, so I'm going to shade on the opposite side. So anywhere in between those two lines would be your solution. Any dot or any point in between. All right, 10. 5x plus 2y is greater than or equal to 4, and x plus 4y is less than negative 28. Oops. For 10, 11, and I believe 12, I want you to try those on your own. We'll go over those during class time, and then I will go over the word problem with you. All right, so Sarah's pet store never has more than a combined total of 16 cats and dogs. She also never has more than 9 cats. Write a system of inequalities and graph to show the possible number of cats and dogs in her store. All right, well, the combined total would mean I'm going to add, so cats plus dogs, and it says she never has more than, so she can have less than or equal to 16. She can't have more, so she can have less. She never has more than, she can have less than or that amount. So cats plus dogs is less than or equal to 16. And then it says she never has more than 9 cats. So she can have exactly 9 cats or she can have less than 9 cats. So cats is less than or equal to 9. And then if I want to graph this, I need to label my graph. So I'm going to label the x-axis cats and the y-axis dogs. And I'm going to go ahead and graph. So in the first one, I'm rearranging it. C is less than or equal to negative d plus 16. So I'm going to go up to 16. And then I'm going to go down 1 over 1. And then for cats, cats is less than or equal to 9. Oop. Oh, I shaded it in. I picked a test point. Cats is less than or equal to 9. So I'm going to go to 9. and draw a vertical line. And if you switched up your axes, that's fine. Your graph will just look a little different, but it would have the same possible solution. So pick a test point again. 0 is less than 9, which is true. So I'm going to shade on that side. All right.